You're in your haven when someone knocks on your front door. Puzzled, you open it. Agathon stands in the hallway expectantly, as if the 10 seconds it took for you to come to the door was an impossible imposition.
How's your grandmother? Is everything okay with her?
Agathon looks at you in obvious surprise.
Yes, she's fine. Juno didn't go back. Thank you for asking.
You follow Agathon down to the street, wondering what kind of revelations tonight will hold. So far, Agathon's rituals haven't been successful at locating research notes, but you've learned a lot about the Tremere and Agathon himself.
This time, I've got it. The problem is when an old vampire disappears, even from our clan, we're so secretive that it's hard for us to find out what they were up to.
Agathon's car is parked at the curb. You get in, and he starts to drive.
You may have guessed that the notes we're looking for belong to an old member of our house. The problem is that we need them to continue her research.
I think it's time you tell me what these notes are about. What are you researching?
Maybe I can tell you something. Animal blood is disgusting, right? Technically, we can subsist on it, but it tastes vile. We are doomed to hunt humans for blood. The question is, can this be changed?
For a moment, Agathon starts to sound excited until he suddenly goes silent. Perhaps he's embarrassed at revealing even this much to you. You're getting used to sitting in Agathon's car in silence. He drives, you look out the window, back to Queens. Eventually, you roll up to an industrial area called Willet's Point. It doesn't really look like a place where a blood sorcerer would hang out. Agathon parks in front of a car repair shop that looks like it has seen better days. There are huge puddles of water on the road and car wrecks strewn about.
Bet to be quick. If I can find this place, so can Juno.
You look around to see if someone is observing you, but there don't seem to be any people about. And why would there be? Who would hang around at a place like this at night? Agathon tries the front door of the repair shop, then circles around to the back. You follow him. There's a broken window in the back, protected by iron bars. Agathon grabs them and gives them a quick shake. The entire iron grill comes off. Startled, Agathon lowers it to the ground.
I suppose someone else has already broken in and didn't want to leave an obvious point of entry.
You and Agathon climb inside through the window. It's awkward, but not difficult. Looking around, you realize that the repair shop has been abandoned for some time. It looks like homeless people have stayed here in the past, but nobody's currently squatting on the premises. You try a light switch, but nothing happens.
You know the drill. I'll do the ritual in the office. Make sure there are no interruptions.
Agathon makes his way to the repair shop's office, a slightly cleaner area than the rest of the building. He begins the ritual in the dark. You lean against the grimy wall. Agathon murmurs the strange words required by his blood magic and takes carefully measured steps across the filthy floor. You wait patiently as he performs the ritual. It feels like it's taking longer than usual, leaving you time to scan the room. Street lights filter in from outside, but it's still pretty dark. A ratty sleeping bag lies on the floor. Wonder what a warlock might have wanted in a place like this. There's a small TV on the desk, probably from the 90s. Looking closer, you realize there's a post-it note on the middle of the TV screen. You take it. It reads, "Loser, Juno." Agathon stops gesturing.
They're not here. How is that possible?
You show him the post-it note. He takes it and looks it over, as if suspecting it might hide a devious trick.
Fuck. She has the notes, and she had to gloat. We have to go.
It feels like you've spent a lot of time recently hurrying after Agathon as he walks briskly in and out of buildings into his car. He starts the car as he closes the door.
We have to go to our haven and get the notes. There's no time to waste.
Despite the urgency of his words, Agathon drives as carefully as ever. It seems that only a threat to his grandmother is enough to make him drive recklessly.
What do we do with her? She an enemy?
Let's not be hasty. I'm sure we can talk this through.
Agathon doesn't sound too convinced.
Juno's haven is in Brooklyn, in a waterfront warehouse.
Agathon drives south to Brooklyn. This is one of the advantages of being undead. Moving at night, traffic is much lighter than if you wanted to zoom around the 5 boroughs during rush hour. Parking the car, Agathon points to a light coming from an otherwise dark yellow brick warehouse.
That's her. Let's go in.
Preferring to keep a low profile for now, you circle around the building and look for an alternative entry point. You find a rusty metal door with no window in it at the very end of the building. Some kind of emergency exit? You get it open with little difficulty, entering the building with Agathon. You emerge into a light-proofed room, sectioned off on one side by a cheap plywood wall. There's a flimsy-looking door that probably leads to the main warehouse area. You stop to listen. You hear 2 voices, but they're hard to make out. One is Juno, and the other sounds like it comes from underwater, with strange resonance. You do your best to make out what they're saying, but you understand only bits and pieces.
Oh. Is it possible for me to bring another?
Yes. We are too powerful.
Enough waiting.
Agathon tries to break down the door by ramming into it with his shoulder. It's flimsy and breaks with surprisingly little effort. You and Agathon barge into the space and find yourselves at the periphery of a candlelit ritual circle. Your eyes are drawn to the wash basin at Juno's feet. Maybe it's your imagination, but it almost feels like the water inside is emitting a wan, red light of its own.
Juno, you have to stop. Hand me the notes.
Oh, Agathon, you're such an idiot. This is beyond you now. I'll give you one last chance. Come with me. Forget Aisling and her power games. Join me and you can become your own man.
What?
Agathon seems genuinely flabbergasted at the suggestion.
Don't listen to her, Agathon. You're loyal to your clan and your grandmother.
Juno glances at you, annoyed.
Why involve her in this? Sylvia is old and soon enough she'll be dead. No reason to miss an opportunity on her account.
You see Agathon ball his hands into fists. Juno said the absolute worst thing if she wanted to convince him.
You never understood love, Juno.
I guess not.
Juno sighs. She doesn't look surprised at Agathon's refusal to come with her.
I would have felt badly if I hadn't offered you the chance.
Come back to the chantry with me, Juno. Talk to Aisling. you'll see that this is not a good idea.
You glance at Agathon with concern. You're no sorcerer, but fighting Juno in the middle of a ritual circle doesn't seem like a good idea.
2 words. Fuck you.
Please. This goes to notes. Won't stop you from leaving.
Juno's shoulders slump.
I'm tired of the fight. I'm tired of having to bust my ass for some asshole like Aisling. I want a new life away from all this crap.
Juno weighs the folder in her hand.
Maybe I should just give this to you.
She walks toward you and you put your hand on the folder, but by then, Juno's eyes brighten with realization.
You fucker! You're manipulating me!
She slaps your face, and you feel as if your insides have suddenly caught fire. You open your mouth, but no sound comes out. Finally, you focus on the feeling of Agathon's hand on your shoulder, and you realize you lie sprawled on the floor.
Are you alright? Can you speak?
The pain is receding, but you feel like shit, hurting all over and barely able to walk. It'll take a lot of blood to mend from this state. Agathon supports you as you walk back. He's smiling. You notice the folder under his arm.
Got away, but I have the notes. I'm sorry you got hurt, but it was worth it.
Worth it? You tell him a thing or two about your view of the situation, but your tongue is momentarily a lump of charcoal in your mouth. You sit in silence as Agathon drives you back to Manhattan. Traffic in the small hours is mercifully slight. You consider your next words.
So you joined the Tremere rebels. Is there even such a thing?
There is. It was formed by a woman called Cara. We used to be pretty monolithic, but not anymore. I suppose Juno will be happy with them, if they accept her now that she's failed.
You reach the occult bookstore. After Agathon parks the car, you head inside. You climb to the second floor to find Aisling Sturbridge waiting for you. She looks surprisingly casual for someone with such power.
You have good news, I hope.
Yes, we have the notes.
Agathon hands over the folder. Aisling Sturbridge caresses the cover with obvious joy.
Wonderful. You did not disappoint. What of Juno?
We were not able to stop her. She escaped.
Well, no matter, Agathon. You proved yourself yet again. And Eric, looks like the pyramid has a good friend in you.
You nod, not saying anything. Agathon looks relieved. You leave the bookstore with praise ringing in your ears. Even the taciturn Agathon manages a smile. You have no idea what will happen with the notes, but you feel that you have reached an understanding with Agathon. Perhaps that's enough in this world of backstabbing and betrayal that you now inhabit. When you reach the cafe, you are welcomed by the familiar face of the waiter who first led you inside. You exchange looks and nods. He hides his vape pen in the back pocket.
She's been expecting you. Something happened to her car and she hasn't exactly left her room ever since.
He scratches his head, shrugs, and gestures at you to follow him. It's the same route as before. First, beyond the locked door at the end of the room with all the computers, then into an endless gray labyrinth. Finally, you reach a door that would look like any other to a random bystander. Of course, by now you know that Hope's Haven lies beyond it. The waiter bids you adieu with an exaggerated bow and starts walking back to the cafe. You enter the familiar room. This time, the lights are on inside. Hope is inside, walking around nervously, overseeing every screen in sight. When she spots you, she wastes no time on introductions.
Is it me?
Yes.
And I am Atakato, Cara Montgomery. What do you know of her?
Eat.
And I am Atakato. You could have seen her in lists such as Top 5 Badass Woman in Tech 2018, 12 CEOs who spark innovation through empathy, or 20 entrepreneurs with mysterious ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
You don't get to voice your answer. The question was just a minor courtesy. She has a monologue to deliver, and she won't allow any interruption.
A time at the call. 20 years ago, she was failed sitcom investor. Now, she is CEO of Double Spiral, a brand management startup, working at a crossroads of big data and influencer culture.
The quotation marks are audible, dripping with venom.
A time at the call. Long story short, she spent years convincing the Camarilla contacts, as in out-of-touch old farts angry about smartphones, that Kindred can benefit from controlling the internet. At Ayamakato, her IT gals have done a lot of research at deepfakes, AL, and machine learning. Her goal was the ability to generate thousands of believably human online accounts. At Ayamakato, basically an army of posters that could brute force anything into mainstream discourse. The elders took a while to get the concept, but eventually, Cara got their blessing. At Ayamatakato. The thing is, she claims her tech is ready to be tested, but it needs the one final component to work properly. And that is why...
She pauses.
At Ayamatakato. She proposed a truce.
Truth? What kind of truth?
Malk David Chapin. They become my friend or face a violent death kind of truce. Not exactly fucking convincing if you ask me. It's Malk David Chapman. But no matter how much I hate her guts, this is a blessing of a disguise. Hear me out. Malk David Chapman. She picked a public place in Manhattan, neutral grounds where we can meet without the fear of the other party might do something stupid and violate the masquerade. She wants to just talk. At Malk David Chapman. You will go there in my place and listen to her terms. You won't accept them, of course, especially not after she just tried to kill us. You will just steal her voice and walk away.
Steal a voice? What next? We trade a mermaid tail for legs?
Its context collapsed. A Disney joke? Sweet. What next? Will you hit me with a topical Harry Potter reference? Its context collapsed. I'm not trying to be obtuse here. Wait a second. Let me explain my plane. It's Revenge Potter. You see, there's only one way to even odds. We have to hit Cara when it hurts, and she's only got one weak point: Double Spiral headquarters. At Revenge Potter, Cara's the only person there is to access every room. The security is something she came up with herself, a voice-based but using a different password phase every time. At Revenge Potter. That means Just recording her talking is not enough if we want to get in. That is why I started selling illicit materials to people who access an advanced deepfake audio technology. The Revenge Potter. I've got it right in this room. And not all I need is a sample base that will allow me to manufacture a bot that talks like her. To monitor data, I need to stay behind. And Revenge Potter. Still, I think the plan is pretty simple. You talk to her while wearing a wire. I process the recording here to steal her voice. And Viola, she's wide open. At Revenge Potter. Then we invade Double Spiral and destroy it from within. The evil is defeated. I become part of your crew. Happy ending for everybody. How does that sound to you?
Sounds fun.
At Revenge Potter. Happy to hear it.
Hope shakes her head and claps her hands. When she speaks up, she sounds different, more spaced out, stuttering.
At Artist Social Engineering. All right. Let me fix you up with the hardware.
She hands you a minuscule earpiece and starts attaching a small decorative pin to your clothes, along with some masked wiring.
At Anti-Social Engineering. It's a D-directional microphone. I can clean it up the audio later, but keep it pointed directly at Cara as much as possible. All right?
You put on the earpiece she gave you. It fits snugly deep inside your right ear.
At Anti-Social Engineering. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
The hardware works flawlessly and the audio quality seems great. You give Hope an affirmative sign with your head.
At Revenge Potter. Beautiful. Cara designated the meeting place at the vessel. You've heard about the place, right? It's right at the eastern of the Lincoln Tunnel. At Revenge Potter. A giant pile of staircases, basically impossible to miss. Manhattan's answer to the Eiffel Tower, or a gaudy monument of being only ever so slightly tree, depending on who you talk to. Revenge Potter. I drive you there, but my car is still in the shop and I don't want to risk being spotted by Cara's people. And I need to process the voice data from here. At Revenge Potter. Which means I have a perfectly acceptable number of excuses to not letting myself get anywhere close to that demonic old hag.
You involuntarily roll your eyes a little bit. Hope sits in front of her screens, pretending not to have noticed.
At Revenge Potter. So, should we get this show on the road or what? Ready whenever you are.
No sense lingering here. You get back to the street and find your car. Wrapping up this show as quickly as possible sounds like a good idea. Around 30 minutes later, you're in front of the vessel. Hope's description, a giant pile of staircases, wasn't particularly helpful. From the distance, the building looks more like a giant honeycomb, designed to swarm with tourist bees. At least during the day, that is. At the moment, the place is closed to the general public. A few men who look vaguely threatening and out of place are making sure nobody unwanted gets in. However, you have no problem getting up the stairs. All it takes is an exchange of knowing glances with one of the guards. You are expected. A lone figure appears in your sight, staring down at the streets of Manhattan.
Billy.
You know, city people often complain about being unable to see the starry skies, but I always thought the real tragedy was how they're unable to appreciate the man-made sea of lights that surrounds them. You can teach people a lot of things, but you can't teach them to see, huh? You recognize the face from Hope's phone. Finally, you meet Cara Montgomery in the flesh. She turns to you, puts on a wide smile, and shakes your hand with a firm grip. First, a representative of Sophie Langley, now a representative of Hope? Not the way I developed my own career, but I gotta say, not many neonates get around the way you do.
It exert pressure. Hardly fucking hard.
Hope speaks up in your ear for the first time, seething with contempt. Although Cara couldn't possibly have heard her, she immediately goes on to address her absence. Can't say I expected her to actually arrive here with you or instead of you. On the other hand, I'm sure every single word I say will be instantly relayed to her.
A Chinese Democrat. And for the first time in forever, your empty blabbering will serve an actual useful cause.
So let me make sure we cut out everyone but the middleman for a while, okay? She takes out her phone and taps the touchscreen. In a few seconds, the barely perceptible buzzing sound in your ear disappears completely. You can't hear Hope anymore. It's probable she can't hear your voice right now either, which means she must be busy raging and cursing out everything in her sight at the moment. This obviously wasn't something she expected to happen. Could it be that Cara saw through your plan? You have to play it cool and see what happens next. Knowing Hope, you've probably heard whatever scraps can be Googled about me in a pile of insults for good measure. Obviously, I know everything there's to be known about you as well, Eric. I don't believe we have a need for formal introductions. But first off, let me apologize for the discomfort my former employee has caused you. I wasn't remotely aware of his planned actions against Hope. I fully condemn them. I'm glad to see you unharmed, and, of course, applaud your swift disposal of the psycho. Langley chose you well. Brief silence. So let me cut to the chase here and present myself the best way I know how, through my ideas. Who do you think has a monopoly on reality? Not much for small talk, is she? Who do you think has a monopoly on reality?
Corporations do.
That's a very typical answer. Very 21st century sounding. Have they succeeded in replacing the state here, though? She signals to someone behind you. For a while, you've been watched by Cara's men who circle around the staircases, presumably her ghouls. One of them sets off downstairs. You know, Bolivia just had a military coup. Hundreds of new accounts posting about nothing but Bolivian politics in English set out to convince every random person online that the US wasn't to blame. Sloppy work, if you ask me. Now imagine this. A 17-year-old K-pop fan from Ohio writing an entire thread about how her relatives in La Paz are actually glad the president is gone. A film reviewer with a side interest in politics selling you a CIA-approved narrative about Evo Morales. An approachable fitness guy explaining the situation to you in simple terms, just like it is. Animated voice, expressive gestures, and steady eye contact. She's taught herself how to project a good image, but isn't a natural yet. At times, it feels as if she is screaming at you to trust her. It's not hard to emulate the masses. Reach out to one of those Eastern European troll farms and bang! A few hours later, you have a clone army that will instantly voice their support for any cause. You will spread your message, but you won't foster a new culture that serves your goals. Won't masquerade your messaging as independent thought. For that, you need personalities, not the masses. But the ability to emulate personalities? A whole different ballgame. Not a craft, but an art. You need to understand your fabrication so deeply that you start to hate it, and then learn to love it. And if you want to make a bunch of those personalities follow one agenda, you need a once-in-a-lifetime team to achieve that. A like-minded artistic collective, both ambitious and obedient. Even though you can't hear Hope's voice in your ear right now, you could swear you hear her in Cara's speech. It's the exact same tone she was using when monologuing in the car. One of them must have been a big influence on another, or perhaps they used to be in a position where they both shaped each other's personas. Hard to say. Only one thing is for sure. And that is, Hope must be absolutely furious right now. Is it possible that Cara knew about her plot? Fingers crossed she doesn't. The state is satisfied when an account that went unused for 5 years suddenly starts yelling imperialist propaganda into the void. The aging corporations are too set in their ways. But imagine a fresh startup that enables the proliferation of ideas adjacent to the prince's plans for the future. Now imagine it getting into bed with the biggest corporations and agencies. So many unlives that could be improved or even saved from the raids of First Light. I have the infrastructure. I have the Elder's support. All I need now is a mastermind at the center of it all.
You mean?
Yes, Hope. She looks down and takes in the scenery below for a while. Then she points at her t-shirt, the one piece of clothing that clashes with the rest of her outfit. You know, I'm a huge fan of punk. The leading idea of my company, Double Spiral, is to make everything I do a little bit punk. I'm all about clashing ideas. I'm all about disruption. You blink a few times in quick succession. Oh God, you think to yourself, she's that kind of person. You saw a lot of them in your old life. Another establishment asshole co-opting everything anti-establishment, blasting Fugazi while ruining lives via Excel spreadsheets. You might have punched a boss cut from the same cloth once. You collect yourself and escape from memory lane. Cara started talking about Hope, so you'd better listen. To me, Hope is as punk as it gets. A free spirit, fiercely independent, an eternal contrarian at odds with everything and everyone, developing her talent just because she finds it joyful. But God, does this girl need guidance. Not putting her talents to better use, rotting away, posting inane bullshit all the time. What a waste. I've built an environment specifically to develop her talents and let her become indispensable to our society, but she rejects it because of some idiotic hang-ups. I don't expect you to change your mind about me just because I kept yapping and yapping. I just hope you'll keep my perspective in mind and serve as the voice of reason Hope really needs right now. Now that I've had my say, how about we put our girl back on? She taps on her phone again. A quiet buzz reappears in her right ear.
Hope, are you there?
Cara smiles devilishly while Hope releases a demonic, guttural growl through your headphones.
Nika.
And now don't fuck aloud. Yeah, sure, let her know her hunch was right on the money. Why the hell not?
She's not happy with you, but the important part is she's with you. Don't worry, she should have heard everything. I just wanted to spare you an annoying commentary track while I introduce myself. Excuse me for a second. One of Cara's guards approaches to show her something on his phone. Hope uses the distraction to get you up to speed with how things are on her side.
It hate makes beat. Yeah, for a second there, I was about to rage that the hack has gotten the better of us. But hey, go figure, she just wanted to take a piss at my Cheerios. The plan worked. The hate man's beat. I have a lot of data for the monologuing and some private sources, but the more we gather, the better. The display here says some more K letters could be useful. At Fate Merit Kickbeat, So, I don't beat yourself about it if you fail, but if you get her to repeat something with K in it, that might improve a deepfake voice.
Looks like Cara's done talking to the guard. Sorry about that. Looks like I've got to attend a sudden meeting with a Google representative shortly. Hope snorts.
I hate Macker's beat. No bragging, though.
By the way, does anyone but Hope know about this little rendezvous? Your patron? Any other companion? Or maybe the Nosferatu?
Nobody. It's just us. Ever told anyone?
Maybe. Maybe not. It just says a lot about your personality, that's all. Anyway, no offense, but since Hope's not here, I really have to rush. Honestly, I feel a little insulted that she set up this meeting and didn't even bother to show up. Insulted and suspicious, her tone of voice betrays her. She might have some good instincts. Too bad she didn't trust them here. Still, out of respect for Langley, I decided to have this talk with you. To explain to you why I'm an asset to the Camarilla, and to explain why the elders need Hope by my side.
And investigate Double Sparrow now. What the worm-brained hack here forgot to mention that the elders don't give a shit about me.
Even if you don't see it my way now, I believe I've sown some seeds here that might sprout in the near future. Double Spiral looks out for people who look out for it, is all I'm saying. But before I leave, you know, there's one thing I really wish I knew. Back when I knew her, she was a different person. Or different people, depending on how you look at it. Why does she fight against me so much? What's her motivation to resist so much? What's her motivation? Good question. She's never shared it with you.
Yeah.
Oops, I was on mute. Sorry about that. At VVVV, answer whatever you want, but A, you better lie through your teeth. B, get her to say V a few times if you can. It might improve a few shortcomings of our deepfake software.
What's your answer?
Something like payback. I don't remember the exact phrasing though.
Cara frowns. Getting even? Revenge? Vengeance? Vendetta? Vindication?
At Queens of the South. Dig me dead and bury me pregnant, mate. You're good at this. Or just lucky. Or both. That's all the V-letters we need, it seems.
One of Cara's people erupts with a theatrical cough. Cara gestures at him to calm down. I really need to go now. See you around, Eric. She begins to walk down the stairs, surrounded by her guards. Once she's gone from before your eyes, Hope decides to summarize your mission.
A Charcat shot. For the love of Christ. Wish you could have kept the drowning for a little longer. Turns out the T letter could use some improvements as well. A Tradhat shot. Not complaining though. He did good. And don't worry, the data I should have been more enough to generate a convincing deepfake. I just need to put in some more work. At Chad Cat Shot. Oh, I guess I will get that right away. Enjoy the rest of your night. Drop my hardware at your Harvard when you get a chance. At Chad Cat Shot. I'll let you know when you're ready to hit Cara's base of operations. Pray for my success, sweetie, and I might be done soon. Maybe even tomorrow. a trad cat shop. And once we're done with her, we'll talk about how I can repay your generosity. Amen.
The connection drops. It looks like that's all for now. You gaze at the sea of lights around you for the last time, and then start making your way back to street level. Approaching the cathedral in the street makes you nervous. You've been here twice, and twice something bad has happened. Or almost happened, as in both cases you ran away. Benoit suggested it's time to stop running and experience faith head-on. Perhaps he's right. Maybe it is cowardly to take refuge in rationalizations when you know what you felt. The holiness of the priest and your own damnation. Walking towards the doors of the cathedral, you glance at the bench where you sat when you first met Benoit. He's waiting for you, sitting and contemplating the cathedral's Gothic architecture.
Was it certain he wanted to talk to you after last time?
I understand. I'm happy you chose to come.
Benoit looks different than before. Intense, certain.
You've had some time to think about what we spoke of before?
I'm not sure what to believe. All these stories seem so fantastical.
You don't. You don't have to believe. You just have to open your heart to the faith Father Anthony represents. Let's go see Father Anthony. It's best not to talk in the cathedral, so I arranged for us to see him at his home. I have a car nearby.
It's better be on the level, Benoit.
We're beyond that kind of tough talk, don't you think?
You follow Benoit as he walks down the street until you come to his car, a surprisingly pedestrian family sedan.
The essence of the masquerade is inconspicuousness. Nobody expects a vampire to drive a car like this.
Benoit drives north towards Queens. During these moments, you feel almost most anonymous, just another speck of dust in a vast machine where every action influences the whole in tiny ways. The one thing you've learned about the kindred is that they are not lacking in self-regard. The prince of a Camarilla city is said to rule the domain, yet how much do they really affect mortal affairs? If you ask a vampire, they'll say a lot. Perhaps that's what made Benoit turn inward, the futility of finding meaning in a secret, predatory existence. Benoit stops in front of a red brick row house, a little run down, probably not cheap. Benoit notes your interest.
Father Anthony comes from an old New York family. He inherited the house. When I first met him, I was suspicious, so I checked up on him.
Despite the way he keeps putting you in dangerous situations, kindred paranoia seems to come naturally to Benoit. Perhaps that's something you can learn from him.
He knows we're vampires, right?
He knows. He doesn't know everything I've told you about Cain and the First City and so on, but he knows we are no longer human.
You follow Benoit to the stairs, looking around for any signs of an ambush. As you get to the door, the first signs of trepidation hit you. The discomfort, the pain that'll follow once you're inside. It feels like a physical thing, a burning sensation under your skin, in your blood. You look to see how Benoit is taking it. He's smiling, eyes closed for a second, before knocking on the door. Almost as if he's enjoying the sensation. The door opens and you see Father Anthony's kindly face. Your body feels as if in a vice. You haven't really been bothered by hot or cold since you were embraced, but now it feels like the surface of your skin is overwhelmed with sensation. The fear and terror are paralyzing.
Yes.
You barely hear Benoit's whisper.
Warden.
Come in, you two. I might not know much, but I know enough not to do this on the porch.
You force yourself to follow Father Anthony into the apartment, despite the splitting headache and rising panic. It's hard to take in your surroundings. Everything seems to vibrate, seeking to engulf you. Framed portraits on a mantelpiece, a cross on the wall, a living room with lots of books, many of them old.
I'm not sure I can offer you anything. Don't drink tea, I suppose?
No, we don't.
If this is holiness, why does it feel like pain?
Oh, my child. I understand that. Thanks to your condition, you're under unusual stress.
Please, Father. You know this is difficult for us. You'll forgive me if I don't waste time.
Father Anthony looks pained, whether because of the rudeness or out of sympathy for your condition. You can't tell. He motions for you to sit down, but you and Benoit are both too agitated to do so. You feel trapped, like a moth being smeared against a burning light bulb. It's hard to look at Father Anthony, but you can't look at anything else either. Benoit is starting to look increasingly unhinged. His eyes look as if he's seeing into some divine beyond just outside the grasp of your senses.
Now's the time, my friend. You have to decide if you're ready for salvation. Prove your faith by embracing the Father and let His radiance envelop you.
Please, Benoit. It hurts.
You're damned! It's supposed to hurt! Just kneel and be blessed!
As the burning pain racks your body, Benoit pushes you down to your knees. You don't resist, too consumed by the holy suffering inflicted on you. Startled, Father Anthony takes a step back.
Benoit, what are you doing?
Father, it's time to be redeemed. For both of us.
Benoit falls to his knees next to you, lifting his face in full embrace of the holy agony.
This is not right, Benoit. Everyone has a chance for salvation. I understand there's something in God's presence that burns you. But you can work through it. Please, Benoit. There are many paths to salvation, and we'll find yours. It won't hurt you and your friend.
Benoit moans in pain, stricken with grief and disbelief at Father Anthony's refusal.
Please, Father. They don't even believe. Not truly.
Father Anthony looks at you and seems to waver. Even his belief in salvation has limits. This has gone too long. You must summon the last reserves of your blood and escape. In less time than it takes to blink, you're at the door and outside, using your vampiric speed to escape the pain and fear of Father Anthony's holy presence. You're about to stop at the curb, but glancing back, you realize Benoit is right behind you. The philosophical, rueful Benoit is gone. Instead, you see a man twisted by resentment and abandonment, burning with hate towards you. The mask is off, and you realize that he wants you to burn under Father Anthony's touch, even if he has to force you to do it. You're fast enough that for most bystanders you're just a blur, A quick movement that's already gone by the time they start paying attention. Still, running on the street does no favors to the masquerade. There are 1,000 cameras on the streets of New York, and as you run past pedestrians, the odds of someone starting to wonder increase. Benoit is past caring. You hear a low growl as he gains on you, fangs out, ready to tear at your neck. You duck into an alley, hoping there's somewhere for you to go. A homeless man stares right at you as you streak past. Benoit can't be far behind. It's not very dignified, but beggars can't be choosers. You jump into a dumpster and pull the lid closed. You lie still in the stench of the garbage. In moments like these, you're grateful for not having to breathe. Is Benoit still outside? Did he fall for it? You wait for what seems like an eternity before you cautiously lift the lid of the dumpster. Just the alley. Benoit is nowhere in sight. You escape. You're safe, but the implications of your experience are troubling. What does this mean? Whether practical or spiritual, it feels like you have to think about this for a long time. You're free to return to your haven, and there is a distinct temptation to keep the events of the night to yourself. Yet, these events cannot be good for the masquerade. You make your way to Sophie's apartment, seeking comfort in the anonymity of the crowds on the New York sidewalks. Some are coming from a late shift at work, others are going out. You nod to the doorman and slip into Sophie's building, go up, and knock on her door. Sophie opens the door in the middle of a phone call. She motions you to come in as she mumbles assent to the phone. She could be talking about earth-shattering secrets or an acquisition from an art gallery. Following Sophie's cue, you sit down in the living room. A few moments later, Sophie ends her call and sits down opposite you, regarding you with her usual mix of paternalism and disdain. You appear shaken up. That's not a good look to cultivate in the world of the kindred.
And to tell you it's not about Benoit, your child.
Benoit? I haven't heard from him in a while. Where did you dig him up?
Benoit is talking to mortals about us. You have to ask Kadir to put him down.
Sophie looks at you with such anger. For a moment, you're afraid she'll slap you. The moment passes as soon as it came. She looks lonely for a moment before speaking. I suppose you're right. That's how we deal with wayward children. I'll have to talk with Kadir about Benoit. Let's keep your name out of this. Poor Benoit. He never did come to grips with his nature. You leave Sophie's apartment, unsure whether you did the right thing. Despite everything, Benoit showed you something that's impossible to dismiss. In the coming nights, you'll have to decide what it means. If faith is real, what is the role of a vampire? Which myths can you build your life on? Perhaps one day, you'll find your way back to Father Anthony's door. Hope's poorly scribbled message reaches you in your haven. Within an unmarked envelope, you find a barely legible address you're supposed to reach in the hour you're expected to arrive there. This is it then, the night of the final showdown. You check the clock. There's way more than enough time to comfortably reach your destination, but you decide to take a drive earlier, just in case. The ride is uneventful, but becomes more and more tense as it goes on. The gravity of the situation starts getting to you. You're about to set out on an operation against a key New York City figure, well connected with both human and vampire elites. What if her security overwhelms you? How will the Council react to your raid? You can only trust that Hope has thought it all through. She doesn't seem like the type who'd attempt a suicidal mission. Which isn't something you typically say about a person who regularly inflicts violence on herself in front of the camera. When you arrive at your destination, you find yourself in front of a building with a double spiral logo on it. This must be Montgomery's headquarters, then. You look around the street and notice an obnoxiously lavender Mazda car parked nearby. Even though you've never seen it before, you might have an idea who it belongs to. You park your own car at a distance from the double spiral building and approach the Mazda. A familiar figure is behind the wheel, holding a smartphone in her hand. You knock on the window. She opens the window without turning her eyes from the device.
It's Roman and Acpolis. Wow, you're early.
Good evening.
At Roman and Capolyps. Yes, good evening for a glorious death.
She lets a dead silence linger in the air for 10 seconds. Then, she stops typing, diverts her eyes from the screen, gives you a melancholic stare, and weeps.
And please say like. Psych.
God damn it.
And please say psych. Come on, what's with that face? I suffer from too much FOMO to let myself die. And please say like. I've got accounts to run, notifications to check. And please say like. Plus, no way in hell I'd allow Montgomery the satisfaction of a draw. We're going there to secure a flawlessly victory. No time to wait. Let's go.
She gets out of the car and motions you to walk with her.
At room sake Acropolis. Anywho, glad you managed to make sense of my ugly scribbles. I totally forgot how exhausting it is to write stuff by hand. At Roman Sep Acropolis. Still, not as exhausting as having to deliver messages personally to someone's door. Next time you meet Landley, ask her to get you a flip phone or something, okay?
You reach the front of the building.
At Roman Apocalypse. We're about to burn this asshole down to the ground.
Juno would be keeping a low profile.
Death to do spiral. We are. It's only the data that will go down the flames. But without data, there is no double spiral. A death to do spiral. You see, our job's easy. We need to get in, destroy the server containing all the double spiral research, and walk out. No spectacle. No dramatic showdowns. A death to do spiral. Now, I know exactly what you're going to say. At Eric. But wait, Hope. If this data is so priceless, shouldn't we external backups? Cara, complete deuce. A death to do spiral. Excellent question. My neonate friend. The answer is yes. She is a deuce. But aside from her numerous negative qualities, she's also has a positive one. She's totally paranoid. A death to do the spiral. She used to be a naive dumbass who wouldn't even cover up the laptop camera, but she lost trust in all the external companies after the little cyber espionage incident. A death to do spiral. She's obsessed with not uploading her precious data anywhere online. Now, the only one that can physical backup hidden deeper inside the headquarters. Death double spiral. Nobody has an idea of where it might be, but I do. A death-to-do spiral. Normally, I'd never be able to reach the place. Double spiral like an underground base. The walls and doors are reinforced, both against the living and the dead. A death-to-do spiral. But the answer to this problem is simple. We only need Cara to lend us her voice so that we can override at the security measures and get to the heart of the facility. A death-to-do spiral. What do you say, Cara? Will you help your girl out for the old time's sake?
Hope quickly writes something down on her phone. A few seconds later, a nearly perfect imitation of Cara Montgomery's voice escapes her speaker. You know it! Let's bust this bitch open! Wow. The sound quality is incredible and the voice sounds only the tiniest bit off. Whatever she paid for that tech, it was worth it.
A dead devil spiral. Oh, and if you're afraid of the consequences from the Camarilla, don't be. I'm assuming full responsibility and my ass is covered. I've got some favors to collect and to offer. A death double spiral. Besides, Cara's a goddamn snake and everybody knows it. No important player will miss her influence. They were only tolerating her in the case she hit it big with her tech.
It's all about cash and abundance. Life's a bitch and then you die. Some parts sound a tiny bit too robotic. Could there be a pattern here?
A dead double spiral. Too bad she won't ever get the chance to succeed. So, without further ado, shall we?
Hope starts marching toward the revolving door. You close your eyes, make an effort to sharpen your senses, and follow the Malkavian into the lobby of the double spiral building. There's a sole security guard at the entrance. He raises his voice to ask about your business, but is stopped short by Hope's commanding voice.
A manipulative snake. No need. We're expected.
The man looks lost and disoriented for a moment. Then, the gears in his head slowly begin to turn, and he nods his head, silently opening a gate leading to the elevators. Hope heads into one of them, and you follow. She presses a button, and the car starts heading to the lowest floor. Eventually, the doors open.
A Dungeon Master Guide PDF. Welcome to Cara Montgomery's Deadly Dungeons. Eric.
What appear before your eyes are the dimly lit corridors of an IT office, empty and silent. The air is stiff and dusty, and there's a sharp, rotten stench in the air that you're unable to identify. The menacing atmosphere makes it hard to recognize at first, but this looks like an active workplace. It really is a dungeon, although a corporate one, where people are cheated of life. You feel a pang of anger. This is the real face of class warfare. These are the conditions people in power would offer us if they didn't feel a need to keep up appearances.
A tried control girl. Let's just get the first door to test my little Cara out.
You follow her until you reach the end of the corridor. There, you encounter an expensive-looking reinforced door with voice controls on the side. Hope pushes a button. A robotic voice comes out of the speaker.
Semiotics.
A tried control girl. Seriously? Come on.
Hope types the word into her phone and lets virtual Cara repeat the password. Semiotics. A sound rings out, reminiscent of cues that TV quiz shows use to let the contestant know he gave the wrong answer.
Verification error. Please try again.
You give Hope a nervous look. She bites her lip and presses the button again.
Hyper real.
Tap, 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 tap. Hyper real.
Access granted.
The doors slowly open. You notice your companion is wearing a sour expression.
Tried control girl. Looks like the tech isn't quite perfect. At least the password's been randomized, so we can try to brute force our way in, unless the system locks it out after with failed attempts.
She shakes her head and turns to you, her lips attempting to approximate a sincere smile.
At Captain Cap. Well, we can only hope that the data we've collected is enough. Into the beast's maw we go.
She marches into the room, and you walk in right after her. The doors lock behind you with a loud thud. It's a wide-open office. It would be as murky as the corridor you just left it in if it wasn't for a row of monitors illuminating the space. A shadowy figure stares at every screen in the room. Cara's voice plays from Hope's speaker. Behold! This is where the magic happens. A family of driven folks hungry for success. Always taking the bull by the horns. Building a high-performance culture. Together. None of the figures raise their heads. They're too busy programming, organizing spreadsheets, and typing in endless strings of text.
What's wrong with these guys?
Ed, get up, stat up. Don't worry. They're likely just a bunch of ghouls and whatnot. Hard-working, conditioned, tireless, low maintenance. Kinda dumb. Perfect workers. Ed, get up, stat up. Probably won't leave their seats unless we make them. But let's not. We've got more important things to do, like destroying a few years' worth of their work.
The figures don't stop pounding away on their keyboards. In fact, they don't react to her words at all.
Ed, get up, stat up. Alrighty. So, do we go straight to the server room, or do you want to check one of the side rooms first? Ed, get up, stat up. Your call. I prefer to wrap things up here as fast as possible. But hey, little Cara's here with us thanks to the data we've gathered.
You betcha.
Ed, get up, stat up. If you think you can use her voice for something useful, hey, feel free to do it.
You look around and think how to respond.
Actually, let's try this door.
You approach a door with a huge sign saying staff only. Next to it, you spot familiar voice controls. Hope nods at you and pushes the button.
Vaudeville.
Hope taps the screen of her phone a few times and puts the speaker next to the door's microphone. Vaudeville.
Access granted.
The door opens, revealing a small room resembling a laboratory. In the middle, there's a handsome blonde man strapped to a chair, wearing a VR set. He looks knocked out cold.
Ego.
Oops, so sorry I was on mute. Ed, card crab socialist. Whoa, that's some creepy-ass rich shit.
Sight is creepy as hell, like something straight out of Clockwork Orange. There's a single button on the man's chair. You click it. His head slowly tilts so that his neck becomes easily accessible, revealing a slightly swollen artery.
Blood ready for consumption.
You give it a shot. His lukewarm blood satisfies your thirst, but it tastes like overwhelming melancholy. Your thirst is temporarily quenched, but you'd never want to feed yourself like this. Hope notices your disgust and smirks.
It cardcaps socialist. Not that I want you to stop from enjoying the fruits of your labor, comrade, but you're done there.
You nod. You follow Hope out of the room, and then out of the open space, into the next passageway. Another depressing corridor, reeking of who knows what. You expect Hope to walk to the very end again, but this time she stops halfway and starts mumbling under her breath.
A Joyce Spargo. Wait, was this door or... Don't tell me she moved things around.
Looks like she's been here before. Not a surprise in itself, but she gives off an impression of a person who used to know the entire layout of the building very well. After brief reflection, Hope approaches the door a few feet away and pushes the button next to it.
Apocalypse.
Well, that's cheery. Apocalypse.
Access granted.
Turn again up a little bit more, Jordan.
Access granted.
Better.
You walk inside. At first glance, this office looks very similar to the last one you entered. Rows of screens and rows of listless silhouettes in front of them. However, Hope quickly spots a difference.
At cast 23930122. Target confirmed. Move into data room.
There's a room with endless machines at the back of the open space. Hope walks in, takes out some hardware out of a bag she's carrying, and begins the process of removing the data.
Cast 23530122. Should have invested in SSDs, sis. Time to bust out of my portable discourser.
She turns to you.
At Cast 23080122. This will take good minute. I've got a few other tricks up my sleeve. If you find something that interests you, let me know.
Should you wait near her or take a look around?
I'm gonna take a look around. Might find something interesting.
A try-catch shot. Have fun. Dear God in heaven, I know I will.
You start walking around. For a while, you notice nothing but errors that start popping up on the screens here and there. The ghouls try to fight against them, but quickly realize it's futile and surrender. Eventually, you find a door with voice controls. You call out to Hope. She pauses her work for a second and approaches you.
At opening door hours. This door, huh? Alright, let's give it a shot.
You press the button.
Canoe and kayak.
You watch over Hope's shoulder as she types the password with an incredible speed into a homemade-looking app. Then, Cara's voice sounds out. Canoe and Haya.
Verification error. Access denied.
You press the button again.
Canoe and kayak.
At opening hours. No dice. I'm back to work.
Too bad. You briefly wonder if you're to blame, shrug, and follow Hope to the data room entrance. There, you wait until her work is complete. A while passes. Finally, you hear a triumphant yell.
At Goats in Shell. All done, baby. Looks like those boys are finally going to get a break.
You realize that the constant silent rhythm of mechanical keyboards has stopped. The workers are all idling, slumped over their desks, completely resigned to the fact that their raison d'etre has disappeared. Hope hurriedly collects her hardware and motions you to follow after her.
It goes in the shell. All right, we're almost done. Now we just need to take care of the backups and we can all the hell get away from here.
Take a last glance at the ghouls and follow her steps. Yet another corridor, hardly discernible from the previous one. This is a giant underground complex. How much money has Montgomery spent on it? Hope looks around, frowning, mumbling something indecipherable. Eventually, she points in front of her.
At 7777. There. This is where she must keep the backups.
It's a sturdy metal door unlike any other in this building. Right next to it, however, is a voice-based security system you know pretty well by now.
At 7777. Please, 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 just no last-second surprises.
She hesitates to do it, but eventually she pushes the button.
Eternal return.
Hope dutifully types down the term on her phone. Eternal return.
Access denied. Please try again.
Hope hisses under her breath. This time, you push the button.
Double spiral.
Tap, tap, tap. Double spiral. You feel like time is frozen. For whatever reason, it takes longer than usual for the speaker to deliver the verdict.
Access granted.
What a relief. The metal doors grind loudly as they invite you in. This time, you walk in first and Hope follows. Wait a minute. You recognize this place. It shouldn't be here, but there are no two ways about it. This is Hope's haven. Same bed, same decorations, same ambiance. It's all a lot more dusty, but
XOXO, do not disturb XOXO. The backups are in the back. I'll just get them.
she seems a little sheepish as she approaches the double spiral devices and unpacks her own hardware to take care of them. You take in your surroundings.
Would you mind explaining what is going on here?
Hope sighs.
At XOXO, do not disturb XOXO. What's there to explain? Just think a little. The first explanation that pops in your head will probably be the right conclusion.
She looks at you as if she was about to add something, then bites her tongue and gets back to destroying her rival's life. She makes it obvious she doesn't want to re-examine her past. You rest against the bed, quietly watching Hope's technological wizardry, and wondering about her past relationship with Cara for who knows how long. Every second you spend here, you become more impatient to get out. Eventually, the devices surrounding the double spiral backups start disappearing into the bag they were taken out of. Looks like the process is nearing completion. You decide to approach the door before it does. However, before you even make a move, the doors begin to make a grinding noise. You freeze up, watching them open. Behind them stands the very person you were afraid would appear. That's the punk t-shirt you hoped you would avoid seeing tonight. Jesus fucking Christ almighty! Hope raises her head and their eyes meet. Both of their faces momentarily turn to stone.
Oh no, oh no. Oh.
could pick out any emotion from their stares, and you'd probably be right. An unbearable tension fills the room as nobody wants to make the first move. Eventually, it's Hope who decides to break the stalemate by loudly pressing the enter button on her laptop and immediately dropping it into her bag. You doubt it's anything more than a provocation, the Malkavian letting her opponent know she won. But it works. The noise makes Montgomery snap out of her stupor. You psycho. You fucking demented, vindictive psycho. The air turns thick with murderous intent.
Ed. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Hi.
Hope pretends she hasn't noticed. Cara's bloodthirst becomes palpable.
Ed. Oh no, oh no, oh no. You were supposed to be the one on the side of the city right now. At the meeting.
I am notified about every failed voice authentication attempt. I got back here expecting to find some idiots still trying to make their way through the front. She looks around. But I never expected. Just how? Hope reluctantly types something down on her phone. I'm the CEO of Double Spiral and I endorse wrecking my shit. Cara grimaces at the sound of her own voice and quickly connects the dots. You fucking gremlin. How did you get your hands on that kind of tech? Even I.
The new batch 1990. Company secret.
Hope's provoking her, no two ways about it. Cara knows it, so she's trying to keep it cool. I built this paradise for you. For us.
And no hope left. Yourself and nobody else.
What happened to the Hope I used to know?
And no hope left. She can't come to the phone right now. She's dead.
I regret the day I let you into my life.
And no hope left. Stop lying to yourself, Cara. You only regret the day you let me out of my life. No hope left. Shouldn't have let you slip money.
A snappish response almost escapes Cara's mouth, but she managed to stop herself before letting the discussion devolve into a childish spat. Just tell me there's a copy of my data you haven't ruined, and I'll let you out of here alive. She gives you a hateful look. Both of you. Hope tilts her head and flashes an evil ear-to-ear grin.
A truthful MSM. Not a single bit of data remains. More than a decade of your work down the drain. Welcome to the worst night of your life since the .com crash, Miss Montgomery.
Cara looks as if the stake was just driven through her heart. She starts to collapse, sliding down against the door, like she was sinking deeper and deeper into her personal hell. Hope just stares at her torment, wearing an indecipherable expression, waiting for her rival to reach the floor. Then she does, and there, at the lowest point of her life, she finds something unexpected. I never, ever wanted to do this. This is not me. Her voice sounds completely different. But if there's only one way out of this mess, I'm going to take it. I'm going to get my data back. Hope looks confused for a second. Then an understanding dawns on her.
At me. Come on, Cara. You wouldn't dare. You started this game. Now accept your loss.
Game isn't over until all players are out of moves, honey.
At me. Baring your fangs now. There's two of us against one. Even if you commit the sin of diabetry.
Last time something like this happened to me, I was ready to die. I think I'll take my chances. It's not like I haven't dreamed about feeling my fangs inside you for a long, long time.
At me. So, you want to give me this one victory? Prove once and for all that I was right. It was never about me, but about all the stupid garbage in my head.
A victory? Please. Victories are material. They aren't like your little online arguments.
At me. She's serious about this, Eric. She wants to devour me as a whole. Sacrifice her humanity in exchange for access to my soul and everything I know.
Stay away, Eric. You want money, data, domain privileges, a position in Double Spiral? Anything you want, you can get if you just look the other way.
At me. Don't listen to this shit. The moment the prince finds out, it's final death for...
Cara runs, her moves resembling a beast more than human, immediately closing the distance to Hope. Then she jumps at the Malkavian like a wild animal hunting her prey. Hope instinctively attempts to defend herself, but is immediately overwhelmed. Laying on the ground, she looks like a deer in the headlights. Cara, on the other hand, looks like a bear ready to maul its victim. If you want to react, you need to do it now. You push yourself to the limit and let your powers take over. The world slows down, letting you run up to Cara and Hope in the blink of an eye. You immediately grab Montgomery by her clothes and attempt to yank her aside. However, the moment she recognizes your touch, she immediately attempts to swat you down. Despite your superhuman speed, she's still almost as quick as you. Her limbs keep zooming wildly towards your vital areas. You dodge every one of them, but each time feels like narrowly jumping out of the way of an oncoming truck. You back away. Better try something different before she gets lucky and hits you. You've decided to let your instincts take over. Before you know it, you're already at a full sprint. You run up to Cara, grab her, and start pulling her away from Hope. However, you're dealing with a beast here. Choosing to trust your instincts, you underestimated hers. Before you realize what's happened, you find yourself smashed against the nearest wall. Confused and in pain, check your torso. Some bones feel broken. You still got lucky and should be able to move around, but this will take some time to heal. Cara's already focused on attacking Hope again. Just rushing in blindly won't help. You need a plan. Wait. There's no point to just rushing in blindly. Cara's like a feral animal, right? You don't wrestle with those. You use tools to overwhelm them. You look at Hope's bag. Could any of her devices help? No. No way in hell. Think harder. You look at the bed, pillows, the canopy, hooks hanging down from the ceiling. Bingo. You grab one of the hooks and yank the chain. It's long enough for your idea to work. You run up to Cara, who's about to maul Hope like a wild animal. Then, you stab her with all your strength. The hook gets deep underneath her skin. Cara yells, but there's more surprise than pain in her voice. You quickly wrap the chain around her a few times, then you step back and start pulling it with all your strength. Cara's taken by a surprise. Still not understanding what's going on, she loses her balance and gives her victim a chance to escape. Hope takes it. Still dazed, she takes a second to understand the situation. But when she does, she runs up to you and starts pulling the chain with you. Oh! You'd never handle her alone. But Hope displays surprising strength while pulling the chain. A minute later, she's hanging above the floor like a butcher's carcass. The end of the hook is stuck in her chest, and it's sinking deeper as she struggles. However, she's flailing so wildly she might free herself before it puts her out of commission. You use one hand to desperately search for something that can help you under the bed. Belts, handcuffs, a whip, a giant cattle prod. You have no time to act bemusedly. You put it to her head and turn it on. The device modified. Power current is so powerful, it causes scarring almost immediately. She's getting weaker and weaker. It takes Cara a while to accept defeat, but eventually she does. Her body seemingly lifeless, her head hanging down. She looks like a grotesque portrait of defeat. The hook must have reached her heart. It takes Hope a long time to collect herself. Eventually, she manages to speak up.
Yes, we've gotten up to this point, huh?
Just like Cara before, Hope starts to talk in a completely different way than she usually does. You have a bad feeling about this.
You want to add my data to yours. You know, I can grant your wish, except not the way you've imagined it.
Hope starts mumbling and circling around Cara. For the first time since you've met her, she acts like she doesn't have her phone in her hand. This violent aura. The Malkavian looks deeply into your eyes, and she knows you know what she's tempted to do. You silently beg for her not to do it. It doesn't feel right. She makes her decision. She smiles beatifically, and it feels purposefully fake.
Be my witness. I haven't harmed her. You left her here with me, and you have no idea what happened next.
Her voice is still changed from what you're used to. She's not having fun. She's driven by malice.
I've disabled security, so you're free to leave now. Call me whenever you need me. I'm part of your coterie now, so I'll repay my debts. Oh, whatever.
You give her a suspicious glare. It doesn't faze her, though.
I've still got some unfinished business here.
She turns to Cara's listless body. A puppet is dangling sadly by a single thread.
It would be smart of you to leave.
Her tone makes it clear she's not willing to discuss anything. Your relationship is strictly professional. You sigh, shrug your shoulders, head out the way you came from. The lights of New York welcome you above ground. See you soon, Hope. Hope you don't get into trouble. You try to celebrate the new addition to your coterie, but Cara's face appears before your eyes over and over again, making your victory bittersweet.